All right then, so now what we have to do is we have to create a new form over here in order to create a new page for our job, right? So let's go ahead and do that now. So what I'm going to do is, let me open the exact same demo what I'm talking. So this is how the jobs page, right, the landing page, how it's going to be, where it's going to display the data table of the list of jobs, and there is a new button over here. If I click this, that is going to take me to the create page where I can able to create a new job, right? So that's what we are going to do now. So in order to do that, first let's fix this. We need to bring this new job button, so let's go ahead and do that, and that's what we are going to do now. So in order to do that, let me close every single of them, close everything, keep it clean. Okay, let me get back over here and let me, yep, it's up and running. Okay, so now over here, collapse everything. Okay, so where we need to go into the jobs page. So let's get into the app, dashboard, routes, admin, jobs, and in this page.tsx, right? So let's change this function to an asynchronous function, because later we need to fetch all the list of jobs over here. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this, and let's change this to div class name. Okay, so padding, I'm going to mark for everything as a 6, padding 6. Okay, enter. And now inside here, I'm going to create one more division div, and for this class name, what we need to do, we are going to change this flex item. It should be aligned the end and justify end. Okay, everything should be aligned at the end, because that's the place where we need to bring the button. So this button is going to be the link tag, which is basically being imported from where, from next link. And for this hyper reference, of course, we are going to push the user to the admin slash create. That's the route that we are trying to push the user. Okay, in order to bar for what, for creating a new job. So bring a button into it and then name that as a new job, right? Now you should be able to see that new job. So now right after or before the new job, I'm going to bring that plus icon, which from Lucid React, and for this class name, I'm going to say more width as 5, height as 5, and margin right as 2. So that's supposed to be looks like this. Cool, right? Something like this. All right, now we do have that button where the user should be able to do that. And right after this division, this is the place where we need to bring the data table. This is the place where we need to bring that data table to list the jobs. For what? For list of jobs which we have created, just exactly the same way what we displayed over here, right? So let's get back over here and let's go ahead and create this. Now if you click this, you will be run into an error because we don't have that page yet. That's the reason it's showing 4 not 4 error. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that route. So in order to do that, inside this admin page, I'm gonna create a new page called create, and inside this create, I'm gonna have a file page.tsx, something like this. Okay, now we have the page.tsx file in the create. So let's say sfc, and let's say job create page, something like this. And inside this, I'm gonna create a div with showing that job create page, something like that. Now if I click this new job, you should be able to see this job create page, which is cool. And let's close this and let's go ahead and check it out over here. Now if I click this new job, you should be able to see it's having a form, and without typing anything, I can't see, I don't have anything, right? If I'm simply typing something like, and if I click continue, that is going to create this job. The reason why it's going to create the job is because that is the condition. It should contain at least one string, one particular string. Now if I click this job, you should be able to see, and it is by default it is unpublished. So later if I wish to delete this, I can go here and I can click delete option, and that will be deleted instantly. Okay, so this is all about the thing that we are up to do now. So let's go ahead and create this job now. In order to do that, first we need a form, right? We need a form. So let's go ahead and over here, open the Shadcn and search for form. That's the thing. So in order to work with the form, it needs two external packages called React Hook Form and Zord. React Hook Form to work with the forms, and Zord, it helps us to for the form validations, right? So please go through the documentations, how they are doing it and all those things. This is how you need to use the form structure, the form field structure. That is how it need to be designed, and you should be able to see how they are using the use form hook to create those fields and everything, and what is the installation, how to use the Zord for the validations, and everything is clearly written over here. So please go ahead and do some research, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to create a new terminal, and I'm just going to paste it, hit the enter, right? That is going to download and install the thing. Let it download. All right, then, so now it's successfully installed. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, so we are going to create the form schema and all those things. So before moving into the form schemas and everything, don't worry, first let's fix this UI part, then we can jump on to the schema part, because that's the place where we need to connect our Prisma and MongoDB and all those things. All right, so let's go for that backend stuff later. Let's worry about the design stuff now. So here I'm just going to say class name. Okay, all right, so the class name, which is going to be, so maximum width, the max width of this is going to be 5 XL, right? Something like that. And the margin X should be in the x-axis, it should be always autumn, so flex. And the medium devices item should be center, and on the medium devices justify, everything should be in the center. And height, of course, it's going to be full, and padding, of course, it's going to be 6, right? So save these changes. Now let me enable the word wrap so you can see it completely. And now you should be able to see my text is in the center of this position. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a div, and inside this div I'm going to have an name, and this h1 tag I'm just going to say name your job. Okay, now it's saying name your job, just like the same play what it's showing over here, right? Okay, and then wait a minute. Okay, so all right, so now over here paragraph tag, and here we just need to say what would you like to name your job. Okay, don't, so here we need to bring the apostrophe, so let's stay at apos semicolon, and after that we need to bring the tree. So now you can see it's bring that apostrophe. The reason why we are writing like this, because by the time it will shows an issue when you're trying to deploy it on Vercel, that's the reason. So it's better use that proper elements properly. Don't worry, you can change this later, something like that. All right, now we have the text. Okay, so right after this division, this is the place where we need to bring the form stuff. This is the place where we are going to bring all those forms and everything. Okay, so before bringing that, we need to fix this issue, because this is not coming in the exact center location how it's supposed to be. So let's go ahead and fix that. All right, so the reason I think that is being caused is because our entire body tag or the HTML page is not taking the 100% height over here. So if you check it out, you can see, look at this body tag. It's not taking the entire percentage of the height. So in order to do that, what we can do is get into the global.css. So right after here, what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to add few styles over here. So which is going to be HTML or the body tag or the root variables, all those things. It should always handle the height as 100%. Save these changes, and now you should be able to see now the entire content is in the center of the screen. All right, so which is going to be perfect. All right, so now let's go ahead and create those things for having the awesome create page. So first let's go ahead and fix the UI part. So this text h1 tag it's going to be which is going to be class name, and it should be text to Excel. That's how it should looks like. Then the paragraph tag class name, which is going to be text small and text neutral 500. That's how it should be looks like. And right after this, what we need to do, we need to bring a form. So let's go ahead and bring a form. So this form is supposed to be inside this division itself, right after here. So look at here how they are bringing the form and all those things before, how they are created, these schemas and everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is the place where we need to bring the client, right? So what we can do is, I'm just going to say here I'm just going to change this page as a client page because I don't need to keep this as a server. So let's say use client, save it, and right after here, so first what we need to do, we need to bring this Zod. So let's go ahead and import that Zod first. Import from where? Zod. What we are going to do, we are going to bring the Z from the Zod. So right after that, what I need to do, I need to create the form schema. So const form schema is equals to z dot object equals to z dot object. Open it. And what is the thing we are going to keep? We are going to create the title. So title, I think it is importing from the progress. So this is not supposed to be imported. This is the field name. So title, which is going to be z dot string. It should be a string and it should carry minimum one letter in it. Okay. Then if you want to give any custom error message, something like message job title cannot be empty, something like that. That's the form schema we have created. Now inside this, next what I need to do, I need to bring this form object. Using the use form, I need to create the form and I need to map this field with this. Okay, so in order to do that, first what we need to do, const form is equals to use form from where? React webhook form. And what type of form it is going to be, it should use this Zod resolver form schema. So I need to map the type. So z dot infer, what type of it is, it's going to be the type of the form schema which we created. That's the type of this form because that's the field it's need to be managed inside this form. Now inside here, now I need to supply the default values and what resolver that we are using. So resolver, which is going to be the Zod resolver. So we need to import this Zod resolver from @hook form resolvers Zod, which is already been installed by the by the time when you're installing the form from Shadcn, and it's going to use this form schema values as the resolver. So that's how the fields are validated by using the Zod resolver. Then the default values for your form. So the default values, which is going to be an object, inside that I'm going to have the title, and which is going to be the empty value. So the default value of the title is going to be the empty string, right? This is the form use form hook. Then what we need to do, we need to create an on submit event. So const on submit, because in order to handle the form submit event is equals to, that's going to be an asynchronous function, and it's going to take the values as a parameter, which is going to be z dot infer. Okay, so just like the same way, what we need to do, we have to supply the same thing over here. So let's copy from here and let's apply it here, just like that. Then all we need to do, open a callback function, and then I'm just going to say console.log those values, because these values needs to be in the type of this default values. That's the reason we are sending the type over here. Then the rest, what we need to do, all we have to just start creating the form right after over here. So I'm going to bring the form component from the React hook form, and I'm going to destructure the form object which we created, form, this form object. Then inside here we need to create a normal HTML form tag, and I don't need any actions over here, right? So let's keep it as simple as that. Then now inside here we need to bring the form field just exactly the same way how they created it over here. And we need to map the on submit event, because by default the HTML form has the on submit event. We need to map it with the form dot handle submit event. That's need to map with our on submit function which we have created over here. This is how you need to map the on submit event. And for this class name, space y, inside the form we need some space, and margin top it's going to be 8. And here we need to create the form fields. So don't worry, whatever I'm typing over here, everything is exactly in the documentation. You can simply follow that if you are feeling confused. All right, you can simply copy it and paste it, and you can change it whenever you needed it. So we need to bring the form field from where? From the UI form, and it is going to be like this. All right, so now what we have to do is, so right after here, so basically for this form field, look at here, what are the things? We do have this control, and we have this name, field name, and how we are going to render the item. Okay, so for this, first we need to supply the control, which is going to use the form control, form.control. Then what are the thing we need to do? We need to supply the name. Of course, it's going to be the field name which we already created, title. Then render, it should render the input. So I'm going to open a callback rendering function, and this is going to get an object which is going to return the field object. Okay, now we have the field instance which is having the complete information about that particular field. Okay, now inside here I need to render the form item which is coming from add components UI. Okay, and inside this form item, and please make sure everything is being coming from add component UI, because sometimes you might import these things from the Radix UI, because that's the default UI which is the Shadcn is using, Radix component. Okay, so make sure that it's been coming from your local component UI folder. And now what we need to do, we need to bring the form label, spelling mistake, form label. And inside this form label, I'm just going to say what other thing we can say, job title. Let's give it as job title. All right, then we need to bring the form control, because that's how you can control if the field is stretching or shrinking. So input field needs to be adjusted. That's the reason we need to have the form control. And I need to bring the input. Okay, we haven't downloaded the input, so let's go ahead and download the input from here, input, and copy this, and let's open it, paste it, and let's download it. Okay, so now it's successfully downloaded. All right, so now let's bring the input from where? From add components UI input, and it should be self-closing tag. All right, so this needs to be disabled. So whenever when I click that form, it's need to be start that loading state, right? So in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say use state imported, and this is going to be is loading state. By default it is going to be the false, so I'm going to use that state for this input disable field. Of course it's need to be disabled whenever it is loading. Then, and placeholder, what is the placeholder? It's going to be, so example, I'm just going to say full stack developer, something like this. That's the placeholder of that input field. Then we need to destructure the field properties, then only you should be able to get all the field properties like on change events and all the necessary event of this particular input field for the normal HTML input field. All right, so this is it. And then what we need to do is we need to have inside this form, we need to have those buttons just like the same way what we do have over here. We need to bring those buttons. So to bring those buttons, what we need to do is over here, so let's create a div. Okay, so and let's see how it's looking like. Okay, so we are getting an error, get field state, where we are having the get field state, title field. why we are getting this issue. Use form context, we don't. Okay, it's been throwing a bunch of errors. Need to figure it out where this error is been coming from. um Maybe because of things. Let's import everything star as z from Zod. Still we are getting the same issue. Nope, not because of that. Use state, use form. I think because of this form. Yep, because of this form only. This form needs to be imported from where? From here. So make sure the import statements or everything being imported properly. See, now it's working. The reason is because I imported the form over the React hook form. This is not supposed to come from React hook form. It's composed from the UI component. Okay, so that's the issue. All right, now it's resolved. Okay, so then what we need to do is we need to bring the description. Okay, so right after here, I'm going to bring the form description from the add components UI, and this is going to be role of this job or something like that. So that is going to display the descriptions over there. Then inside this division, now what we need to do, so let's keep this division as the class name, and let's say flex item center, and the gap x, of course it's going to be 2. Then inside here I'm going to have the link tag next link, which is going to have the href as slash, and inside here I'm going to have a button at components UI, and this is going to be the cancel button. And please make sure this type of the button, it should be the button alone, and the variant, of course, it's going to be the ghost. Okay, simply just like that. And then I'm going to copy this one more time, not link, I'm going to copy this one more time, and then right after here paste it. This time this is not going to be the variant as the ghost, this is just going to be a normal button, and it should be disabled by whenever is loading. That means whenever you're submitting a form or something like that. So submit type of the button should be submit, and this is going to be the continue. Save the changes. This is how it should looks like. All right. Okay, so now if you click this, you can see it's highlighting this the job title, something like that. Okay, the reason is because we don't have anything over here. Now if I type something, and if I get back over here and inspect the elements and click the console option, and now if I click continue, you should be able to see that values which is being printed over here, where over here. Okay, so if the reason, if you wish to display the form error message, form error or something, wait a minute, what is that form? Search for the form, and you should be able to see the form message. That's the thing. So save these changes, and now without anything else, if you type it, see, job title cannot be empty. Okay, so this custom message will be printed over there if you wish to have that. Otherwise you can customize this layout, the structure. I wish to keep the error message over here. That's up to you, you can do that. Okay, so in order to validate this, so what I need to do is I need to validate this form. So in that case, what I'm going to do is Instead of this loading state, I don't need this loading state anymore, because the why I'm going to delete this, because I can get that whether this form is submitting or not submitting. I can get that state from where? From the form object itself. Const equals to form dot form state. Okay, from here I'm just going to get the is submitting, which means the form is still submitting and is valid. This object, whether the form is validated, if it is only if it is valid, then what I need to do, I need to make some changes. So is that a case? In that situation, this needs to be disabled when the form, whenever the form is being get submitted, is submitting. And when this button, that is also only, this button needs to be disabled only when if it is not valid and or if it is submitting. Okay, so what is the mistake over here? Okay, 2 times. Yep, now the issue needs to be resolved. Okay, now you can see the form field is not valid. That's the reason it's been disabled. But if I type something over here, now it's been resolved, and if I click that, I should be able to get that field. Now all I have to do is to create a schema and save this information into the MongoDB, and that's what we are going to do next.